What's going on, everybody? This is Colton from The Unexpected Adventure. Coming in, we're going to do a little bit of sobriety talk, pretty much, about my sobriety. Not necessarily that's the correct way or anything like that, but maybe maybe some of my story can help you. So, or something like that. Yeah, we'll see. But I've been posting a lot of shorts about my sobriety and where I'm at. I'm at 3 years and 16 days, which feels really cool. And I know that's nothing to some people, but to me, it's everything in the world. And I'm really proud of that. And you should be, especially if you have any sort of, any sort of accomplishment that you are striving for, or some challenge that you are going through, like a struggle, like for me is sobriety with alcohol and cocaine, and you hit an accomplishment or a goal, like when I hit 3 years. I mean, you should be more proud of yourself than anyone else is proud of you. You know, like, I get people are proud that I'm 3 years, but I'm more proud that I'm 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And it's really cool, and I can't wait to continue growing as a person and seeing where the world takes me. But through those 3 years, obviously, those come with struggles, those come with challenges, and all sorts of things. And at the beginning of any sort of challenge like sobriety, it comes with the struggle of just realizing that you have the problem to begin with. And that was a big challenge for me. It took a lot of failure for me to reach the point of realization that I am not becoming the person that I want to be, and I'm drifting farther and farther away from who I was. And I'm destroying my life. You know, I had surrounded myself with a bunch of people that aren't around me anymore. As soon as I got sober, they all left. And there's a reason for that, and that's because they weren't friends. They were people that we were all having fun together, sure. But at the end of the day, none of them truly cared about me. None of them gave a shit where I ended up, what happened to me. And as soon as everything hit the fan for me, they just forgot who I was. And there's certain people in my life that obviously didn't do that. One of them's Heather. I'm with her to this day. And she's been with me through a lot. But all this happened, and pretty much realization, you know, I have a problem. So I call my dad. Now, my dad, he's a hero to me. He's the strongest man I know. He's battled with substance abuse in his life in his younger 20s as well. And his was crack. And my dad, in my eyes, is, like I said, the strongest human being ever. And the best. So I go down there, and my dad pretty much tells me what's what. You know, I need to straighten up. This isn't the son I'm raising. This isn't who I know. And you need to get your shit together, pretty much, because now you don't have anything. So he kind of helped get me back on my feet. You know, at this point, I lost literally everything I owned. I had like a bag of clothes. So I had a couple odds and ends that I kept from my past that I made sure to grab because I liked them. So he's getting me back on my feet, right? And then I think like a week goes by. And then I come back up north. And because I'm supposed to be coming back up north, supposed to go back to work and be figuring shit out. Well, I come back up here and I go on a fucking week bender, pretty much. I ignore everybody. And I just go on this bender. And and then I go back to Kentucky. And that's when I really get sober. And I really puts it under my ass. Now he's got me doing a lot of yard work. We got a big property down there. He's pretty much just got my time occupied, which is what he said I needed to do, is occupy my time. And I need to not be around the people that I was around. So I was planning on staying there for a while. I don't know how long, but as long as it took to get my head back on straight. And at the same time, Heather is debating with herself whether what is she doing? Is she going to stay in this relationship? Does she need to leave? So she kind of separates herself a little bit from me, which is understandable. And, she's up here anyways, but she decides to give me a chance. So I'm doing the best I can. And like I said, I'm just trying to stay sober. And then come Easter, turns out my dad passed away. And it was very tragic. I'm not going to really get into all that. But me and him were spending the morning together, and an incident occurred, and I had to call the ambulance, and he didn't make it. And that was, and still is, the hardest 30 minutes of my sobriety, even when I think about it. It was almost like God was telling me, I'm not done challenging you yet. There's still some shit you need to go through. And Heather was the first person I called, because once the ambulance finally got there, I mean, we lived in the middle of nowhere, so it took a little bit. I didn't know what to do, where I was alone. And I was scared to be alone. She came running, pretty much. She left Easter dinner or lunch or whatever, and she drove all the way down to Kentucky, and she was there for me right away. That was the hardest part of my sobriety. Like I said, even when I think about my dad passing away, man, puts me in a low spot. I've came a long way from that. I've talked to a couple people about the incident and everything like that, and I've got my free therapy weekly through my sobriety, if you know what I mean, by getting to go and talk to people. And I'll tell you what, it definitely dug into my head that I need to stay on the right path. I need to stay doing the right thing. I need to keep a job. I need to do everything my dad taught me, because that's pretty much the last thing that he was working on with me, And every time I do struggle, I always kind of think about my dad. Because like I said, it's still hard to think about, but my dad was, other than Heather, the first person to get me into meetings and talking to people. And, every time I walked through the back door of my dad's house, he had a mirror hanging there. And it was a prayer that goes along with sobriety through a program that, you're not really supposed to talk too much about openly, but there are programs out there like AA and NA, and my dad went through those. My dad didn't go too much in his older life, but that's fine. He used it as a tool, and he became sober, and that's really all that matters. Being sober, at the end of the day, is the number one priority. And that's kind of what he taught me, and providing for yourself and for your loved ones, making sure your bills are paid, and just being a man. Pretty much before that, I wasn't. I had a house, I lost it. I had what I thought was a big group of friends, and I had a whole nother YouTube channel called The Chalkboard, where we pretty much sat around and drank beers and podcasted. And we did it weekly. I think I did it for 2 years. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was fun. and it was a good time. And, I had to be willing to let all that go. I mean, it was gone anyways. So I guess I should rephrase that. I had to be content, and then I had to be satisfied with letting all that go because it wasn't going to be there. And that's another thing I still battle with is like not wanting to go back to drinking or not wanting to go back to beers and bros or my friendship or anything about my past. It's just that now that I'm past all that, what do I do? And it's like, what's my purpose? And how do I keep myself from sitting around and having nothing to do? Because that's terrible, especially for an addict. You sit there and you get to thinking, and you can get really into yourself, and especially if you're not in a good place, that isn't always a good thing. So for me, especially as a younger kid, when I went through what I went through with my dad as a child, like when the house burnt down and we lived in a shed, and like we had no sink, no kitchen, no bathroom. We ended up, we used an outhouse for 2 years, and we lived in a shed about as big as a one bedroom. And me and my dad lived in there. We had a fridge. I mean, this was a whole part of my childhood, and we'll probably dive into that one day. And my dad was put into a really tough situation in my childhood, and he did the best he could. And I think he raised a pretty damn good kid. Now, I had my flaws, and I went through my addiction and stuff, but honestly, I did that in a whole nother state. And a lot of the reason I think I did what I did is it was just the crowd of people I was around. We're all doing the same thing. And now that I'm not around these bad people, these people that aren't necessarily good for me, right? I'm a lot happier. I got real friends that I know will answer the phone. I know will give me the shirt off their back. I got people that I can call family. I don't got much family anymore. I got the most amazing girlfriend in the world. She has done everything for me, and she's been there for me through everything, more than anyone else. And when I get into those bad spots, I just try to think of these things. Because the only reason all this exists right now is because I'm still sober. I'm still not amazing. I still think bad about myself all the time. I'm getting better at it. And that's all I could ask for. I still get bored. Like we were out at the casino last night. They're all having fun. Once I got done gambling and stuff, I was bored. I'm ready to go home. I'm not drinking and stuff. Now what do I do? But I don't want to kill everyone's time. I don't want to make everyone else feel bad because I don't drink. So then you kind of got to remember, well, this is what it's about. You got to start being able to have fun sober. And, oh, okay. And then I started having fun again. Every now and then I get those bad thoughts. I feel like you could be 15 years into sobriety and still get those bad thoughts every now and then. It's always going to happen. Once an addict, always an addict. I'm always going to be an addict. No matter what. There's no, I'm cured. There's no, hallelujah. I'm not an addict no more. No, I'm an addict. And once I realized that I was an addict, there's no taking it back. Now, you could slip up. People relapse. People fall back into old habits all the time. And that's fine. I heard this one quote where the guy said, it's okay to let them see you fail. Just don't ever let them see you quit. Because quitting's not the answer. Giving up is not the answer. Failure teaches you how to win. Sometimes you have to fail, and I'll guarantee you this, everybody in life fails more than they succeed. You got to get a problem wrong to be able to solve it right. Now, yeah, once you solve it right, it might be easier to solve it right the next time. That's fine. But you're still going to get something wrong. That's the whole point. You know, my dad always told me growing up, you don't learn by, you don't learn by succeeding. You learn by failure. Sometimes you just got to fail really, really hard. Really hard. Because you're stubborn. Like me. Now I'm sitting here, we got me and Heather. We're wanting to buy a house and stuff. These mortgages are through the roof now. Interest rates are through the roof now. At the end of the day, it's always going to be a little hard, right? It's just, it might get a little easier, but it's never going to go away. So you just got to learn everybody has their own things, right? That help them. I know a lot of guys that swear by AA. I swear by it. It's an amazing tool for sobriety. It's therapy for $1. You know what I mean? Like, but I also know plenty of people that are sober that don't go to meetings. And they have their own thing. Whether it's therapy, whether it's working out daily, whether it's, I don't know. But you got to find something. And I would suggest starting with that first thing I talked about. Because in my opinion, it still is the best tool out there. Go to a meeting. Just go. You don't even got to talk, right? You don't even got to talk. You don't even got to give your full name. That's not the point. No one wants to know it. It's just a bunch of people that are like-minded, that are willing to talk with each other. I didn't really even know much about AA or NA before I realized I had a problem. And then someone told me to go. And honestly, I've met some of really good friends of mine. I'm going to get to go to one of them's wedding. That's cool. It's awesome to me. You know, and I met that relationship through my sobriety. You know, I got to rekindle my relationship with Mitchell. You know, someone who means the world to me. Same with my buddy Love. Me and my mom have grown closer now because she actually went to an Al-Anon thing and got to hear what other people's perspective is. And if you don't know what Al-Anon is, and I'll tell you, it's a place for people that have family members or kids or loved one, just anything that, parents that were addicts. They're not addicts necessarily. They just grew up with addicts, or an addict has been in their life, right? Like my mom, both her kids. Both her kids. My brother's not doing good now. We're wishing him the best. We're hoping that he gets into a place, but, she's went through it. A lot of my family has went through it on my mom's side especially. And when she went to somewhere like that and she got to be around like-minded people and hear people share the same experiences or similar experiences and be able to just vent about it to people that aren't like me or her husband or other people in her family, she never felt, she felt great. And our relationship has done nothing but grow. So again, I like to end these the same way every time. If you're going through anything, and I'm not just talking about addiction. I'm talking about depression. I'm talking about anything. Don't be scared to reach out and talk to somebody, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's a therapist, whether it's, I don't know, a tree. Yell at a tree if you got to, but don't bottle it in. Don't, because it's not healthy. I did that, and I'm an addict. You know what I mean? So talk to somebody. There's even hotlines out there for you to call, I'm pretty sure. Comment down below if you guys got anything to say. I'm always commenting. I'm always responding to my comments. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. It's Sunday for me. I'm getting ready for the work week. I'm hoping to get some overtime this week. We're going to keep the shorts going as spring rolls in. Hopefully we're going to get some bass fishing. We're going to get some art rolling up. I hope you guys have a good one, man. It's getting real exciting. Peace and love.